I'm going to start cutting the box section. I haven't put the bandsaw together yet. I've salvaged it from an old gazebo that was here at our house when we bought it. So it's very rusty and I'm gonna have to pick and choose which bits that I use. Ming in. We're in. If you're wondering why I still haven't got any windows and doors, it's because you haven't subscribed. Cut all of the pieces, and I've also ground off the paint in the areas where I need to do some welding. I'm now just going to arrange it as per the drawing, make sure it all lays out correctly, and then once I know the layout, I'm going to start welding them up. I've made the frame. It's all made out of this scrap steel, so it was a bit of the pain to weld. It's together and it's, you know, as strong as flimsy scrap metal can be. We now need to focus on putting the shelves in there and also the topper. Now, I've cut some plyboard and this will basically just act as the shelves. It's 12mm ply and this is 18. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of an alignment so that this is all flat, everything sits flush. And then I'm gonna add some little brackets on the edges of the rear side. Ooh, I've also got to fit some other brackets for the strips because I'm gonna have strips that run down the side and they're gonna be made from plyboard. And they're actually scrap as well. They're what's left over from doing the workshop, from doing this sort of acoustic style paneling that I did. Let's get cracking. Ew, really want this to be flush. So now I'm just going to take my trusty CD pen and mark this up without moving it out of place.
The tabs I'm fitting are cut from the scrap metal that you saw earlier, and they're fixed in place with some small panhead screws. I've also given the whole frame a sand, not to remove the existing paintwork, but just to key in the surface so the paint has a nice rough texture to bite into. I also cut and welded in some extra tabs, which will act as supports for the side-mounted strips of ply.
Now it's time to set this place up as a bit of a paint room. I don't have a paint booth or anything similar like that, or any decent extraction or anything that we would benefit from at this stage. I am thinking I'm gonna lay down some primer first, if I've got some. Got these bungee cords that I've attached to the ceiling, and I'm gonna hang the rack off these. That on there. There you go. Old tarpaulin. I'm just gonna lay this down on the ground just to protect the floor. High covering filler primer. That might do. Shake can vigorously for 2 minutes. Gonna go for a grey primer instead. This one's not high build, but it's high covering power, so. The paint for the metalwork is now dry. I've also sanded and cut and done all the bits and bobs to the wooden strips and all of the woodwork on there. I've oiled it down just to kind of give it a bit of a protection layer and to kind of give it a bit of color. I mean, it'll mature over time. So they're all nice and oiled. So now it's time to drill some holes in this lovely framework because we're gonna mount it on the wall, directly like that. The way that I'm gonna mount it is I'm just gonna stick some screws in the back box section, and they're just going to go right through and screw directly in the walls. The walls of the workshop are OSB, so I can literally just drill things straight into there, which is a bonus. However, it does mean, because the way this is designed, I am going to have to fit the bare metalwork to the walls before I add any of the woodwork, because if I put the woodwork in now, it's going to cover the screws and I'm not going to be able to fit it on there. The screws I'm using are pan heads. I didn't want to countersink it because the box section wall is so thin, I didn't want to risk punching through. In order to fit these, I'm going to drill a clearance hole. These are 3mm, so the diameter of the shaft of these screws is 3mm. So that means I'm going to drill a 3.5mm clearance hole in the box section, and then this will just screw straight into the wall. Let's get drilling. Drilling in through the first wall and then taking care to make sure I'm punching through at a sort of 90-degree angle to the box section. Just like that. So I was a bit too optimistic with the pilot hole being 3.5. 4 should give some clearance. That would have been easier if my 4mm drill bit wasn't dead blunt. So this is the location of where I'm going to have it. I reckon about there. What do you think? Black on black, I don't know if you can see it. There is a shelf, well there will be a shelf on top of here. So maybe I could have it a bit lower and then you can actually use the top shelf. Or there, and then it's in line with that. I think about there. I might put on a little bracket aid to help me fit it, because it's going to be a pain trying to hold it against the wall and drill. I'm going to get some angle iron, attach that to the wall, and then I can hook this edge over that angle, or even just a strip of wood. I could just use a strip of wood. Make sure it's level, and then it can like hold it in place for me. Pop that down, and then we can offer this up to here and hopefully balance that on there, and then we've got some free hands. Look at that. Let's just check that all these bits are level. Perfect. It's awkward. Oh, pinned a bit better. Ha-ha! Yeah, boy. News. Last one. Lovely job. We're on. Right, I'm going to take the bracket levelly, what do we call it? The jig? The fixing jig? The fitting jig? I'm taking that off. Let's get that off. You know? Dose. And it's not fallen down, which was a good sign. Oh yeah. It's on. Now we just got to fit all the gubbins inside, and I need to make sure that there's a hole somewhere for all the wires to penetrate through the bottom shelf. Or, well, all of them, to be honest, because they've got to pass through to one another. I've got the bottom shelf that I'm going to fit first. I've drilled a hole for all the cables and put a little rubber grommet in there just to sort of add a bit of prestige. And then I've also pre-fitted this sort of junction box at the bottom. Now this is just a multi-plug. I would ideally like this cable to be black, but first let's get it in there. Hopefully it's not going to be too snug. The middle shelf going in now, not as tight as the last one. Oh, look at that. Almost like it was made to fit in there. Gonna have to give it a wipe down and a polish though. Top shelf. Oh, I like it. Now that the sides are being glued in place, I pop the clamps on just to kind of hold everything so that when it cures, it's all like fully attached. What's in my hand here is my little piece of wood. This has been oiled, but over time this will kind of tan. This is going on the front here, just like that. Presentable. And I'm going to stick this on using the same method. This has got quite a nice little angle to it, if you can see that. Let's stick it on. Pop this clamp on there. Yes. Just like that. It's the following day. The glue has been drying all night, so hopefully it's now secure enough for me to remove the clamps. So let's take it off, see what it looks like, and maybe fire it up for a test run. This is a bit dirty though, it won't need a wipe down. It feels like it's nice and secure though. It's nice when things actually work. I can slide this amplifier back into place. Right, let's get this on. Oh, oh, it looks so good. I'm really pleased. I'll have to make one for my house now. I've not got any of the right size cable to swap this one out with. However, I have found some conduits. So I'm going to wrap this around the cable. It'll turn it black and also it'll give it a little bit of extra protection. I've had this years, this conduit. I've never done anything with it. I think it was from one of my first cars when I was 17, when I had a big Kenwood subwoofer. Now the only Kenwood I've got is a dishwasher. God, how times change. Do you know what this reminds me of? A few years ago, I had a colonoscopy, and that's all the detail I'll go into. I can plug it in there, look. Boom. I'm glad I put this little skirt on the bottom here just to further hide any of the cabling. Now I've got the conduit wrapped around there. That'll soon be tidied away. But because I still don't have any electrical power in here, I'm running extension cables, so I wanted to make use of some extra length. But it will eventually be pinned back and out the way and nice and neat and tidy, just like the speaker cables are. I've managed to rig up a little Bluetooth receiver, and it means that I can play things through this speaker via my phone. And in case you're wondering what it sounds like, how much would you pay for something like this? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see me make a stereo out of old car parts, watch this video here. Enjoy.